Ever feel like you're doing this teaching thing alone? You don't have to be. Shared teaching is all about sharing the workload through the power of collaboration and teamwork. Together, we'll walk through all the difficult parts of teaching and learn how to streamline our processes, fine-tune our time management, and develop a more manageable workload. If that sounds like a dream come true to you, then welcome to the Shared Teaching Podcast. Let's share in the teaching to make those dreams a reality. Now here's today's Shared Teaching. Hello and welcome back to the Shared Teaching Podcast. I'm your host, Susan, and you are listening to episode 151, Tips for Making Teacher Report Card Comments Easy. So do you dread report cards because they are so time-consuming? Or maybe you find writing the teacher report card comments to be really tedious. I know I have. So I found an easier way, and I'm going to show you it today. So one of my favorite things to do for a repeatable task is to create a system on how I do it. So even though my district only requires report cards twice a year, by creating my own system for writing the comments, I've saved myself a ton of time those 2 times a year. Best of all, I can reuse the comments each year, so I'm saving even more time for the following years. So my system is as easy as 1, 2, 3, as cheesy as that sounds. So first, I decide how I wanted my comments to be structured. Next, I created a template for my above level, on level, and below level students. And last, I decided which students needed which template. So the system is really easy, but the important thing is that it helps me quickly write up all of my comments, which can be such a time suck, as you know. So just a couple more additional tips before we get into exactly what I put into my comments is that I recommend creating your report card comments in a Google or a Word doc. Google is my go-to ever since my district is a Google district? I don't know what we call it, but our email is in Gmail, so everything is Google-based. So you can do that, or you can do a Word doc. And so each semester, when it's time to do report cards again, I just pull up that document and I simply make a copy, and then I update the math and reading scores and goals. It really helps me to see the comments that I previously gave so I can provide a different statement for the new report card. And I like that it's just there in one spot. Keeping a file for every year is helpful too, because often there are similar personalities in your classroom every year. So I can think to myself like, oh, this boy is just like that boy. They're very similar in terms of like what they need or what level they're at. And so I can find that kid's name, copy it, and paste it into a new document for this coming year, change the name out, change the score specific to that student, and it's done, right? Very easily. You'll want to make sure to keep the comments very short and to the point. If you really have to go in depth about behaviors and things you're noticing in the classroom, then really you should have a conference with that parent or a phone call or something. That's not really the place for where to put it in a report card. Ideally, the parents should already be aware of many of these issues that you're bringing up in the report card if there are issues. So be short and to the point. Don't be afraid to include additional materials that are going to help address some of the common recommendations that you put in your comments. For example, about improving their reading level, different math things to focus on. If you have a nice handout, it's really easy to just include it with the report cards. Maybe it's just a list of helpful like math websites or reading websites or activities a student can practice. Maybe a guide to the grade level skills, such as the one that I have, shameless plug, in my TPT store. So I will link that in the show notes so you can see it in case you're interested. I do have them for kindergarten, first, second, and third grade about what your child needs. And it talks about, of course, reading and math, but it also goes a little bit more into depth with writing and grammar. So I love to give those out at parent-teacher conferences, even at the very beginning of the school year. So go ahead and look at that and maybe I'll give you some ideas on what to include in the report cards as well. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to talk about how we're going to structure our report card comments. So most common is to have what we call a compliment sandwich. So if you haven't heard that, it means you start with a positive comment, you follow it in the middle with any kind of constructive criticism or things to work on, and you're going to finish it with yet another positive comment. So you have that positive compliment sandwich, right? With the icky stuff in the middle. So for myself, I like to use a student's name for the beginning of my teacher report card comments. This really just personalizes the comment and makes the family feel like you are writing it just for their child. I have heard some complaints in some Facebook groups in the past year where parents were complaining, well, how do these teachers not even write a personalized comment for my kid? So put their name in there, right? It can be a very formulaic report card comment that parents not going to know unless they see all the other kids' report card comments, but put something very specific to their child in there. It'll make them feel a little bit more warm and fuzzy. Okay, so you're going to have the student's name and some kind of positive compliment. And then after that, you're going to add a statement where the student is at in reading with relation to the grade level. So your child is above grade level, or your child is meeting expectations, something about where their level is. And then I like to give specifics because also my school requires it about what their state test score was. So we have to say, like, this winter, your child's MAP test score was blank. And then if you can, maybe add what the grade level expectation is so the parents can kind of compare. Now, I do have a little cheat sheet that I give parents where it lists all those things out. It lists like what their reading level should be, what their phonics level should be, and what their state, we call it MAP testing here, what their state testing score should be at this point in the grade level. And so I include that with conferences, and then I also update it as we take the test throughout the year and as I update their students' information on those scores, and I send it home with the parents to keep the parents, right, I don't know what the word is, but keep them informed, there you go, of what their child is doing and where they need to be. Okay, so after we do the state testing and the grade level expectations, then I'm going to give a suggestion on what to improve that's specific to that subject. So I start with reading. I'm going to give a suggestion about reading. Then I'm going to repeat the process for math, state their score, what they need to work on, what their grade level expectation is if I want to include that. And then, because we're making a compliment sandwich, I'm going to add another positive statement. And if a student needs to improve on a non-academic behavior, I'm also going to include it in this part. And for that, I mean things like, does he not keep his hands to himself? Does he have wandering eyes during test time? Does he not play well with others in the classroom? He's not finishing his work. I don't know why it's always he. She's not turning in homework. So that kind of behavior, something that I really want to draw the parents' attention to, I'll put there. Also, if there's a lot of attendance issues, or if they are in the RTI, response to intervention program, I have to make sure I include that in my report card comment so that it's kind of like another piece of documentation that, yes, the parent received information that this is where their child's at and it's a concern, right? Okay. So after that, I'm going to finish up my teacher report card comments with a goal for the next semester, or if it's the end of the year, I'm going to do some kind of wrap up for the end of the year. Usually for me, it's a very blanket. I loved having your child in class this year. I hope they have an amazing summer. So that's my go-to end of the report card comment for the end of the year. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, which is some examples. Feel free to take these and tweak them and use them as your own. I don't mind at all. Okay, so first we have meeting grade level expectations. So first, you're going to start with whatever the name is. So student name is a thoughtful and caring student who brings a positive attitude to our classroom. In reading, insert student name, is meeting grade level expectations and approaching grade level in writing. His winter reading MAP score was, fill in the blank, and he should continue to read daily and ask and answer questions about what he needs to improve his comprehension of fiction texts. In math, insert name, is approaching grade level expectations. His winter math map score was fill in the blank. He should work on adding 2-digit numbers with and without regrouping and understanding keywords in a word problem. Insert name. Works very hard but has been showing some inattentiveness lately. Next semester, insert name, will work towards improving his writing by using complete sentences and proper punctuation. I would also like to see him continue working on his sight word and word study goals. So as you can see, I have some very specific things in there that a parent can look at and be like, oh, okay, that's my next step. And I also kind of put in there, although they're doing this, this is happening. So I'm sandwiching that positive compliment in there. All right. Next up is approaching grade level expectations. Okay, insert student name is an inquisitive and outgoing student. In reading and writing, insert name is approaching grade level expectations. Her winter map score was insert score, and she is currently a part of the RTI process in reading. She should read daily for 20 minutes to improve her reading fluency and comprehension. Hint, that is my go-to for students that are low. In math, insert name is approaching grade level expectations. Her winter map score was fill in the blank. She would benefit from addition and subtraction facts practice as well as understanding place value. Insert name often tries to follow the rules but can need reminders when she forgets or becomes distracted. Next semester, insert name, will continue to work on writing complete sentences with proper capitalization and punctuation as well as organization of her space. Hint, desk is very messy. She loses things a lot. I would also like to see insert name, attendance improve going forward as she has blank absences and is affecting her grades. Okay, so you can see there that we have some red flags there. They're part of RTI. They are exceeding what they're allowed for attendance, so I need to make sure that I put that in there. Okay, and of course, I like to do some kind of writing thing in there because I'm the writing teacher and I love writing, so I always like to add that component because usually teachers always talk about like reading and math, but I feel like other subjects like writing kind of get neglected and they still need work on some of those things too. By the way, this is for a second grade class, and yes, these are actual real report card comments that I have given out to students and families in the past. I literally copied and pasted it from my Google Drive and put it here. Okay, last but not least, we have below grade level expectations. So for me, the ones that is approaching grade level means they're really close to grade level. And then the below grade level is like they're struggling a little bit, as you can see in this next example. So a lot of my students were approaching when I pulled up my Google document and looked through it. So don't worry if you don't have a whole lot that go in one category or the other, or it's a lot that goes in one category and not very many of another. That's pretty typical in a classroom. Okay, so below grade level expectations. Insert name has been a pleasure to have in class this year. Of course, this is for the end of the year, but I kind of tweaked it a little bit. He is demonstrating a need for additional support to meet grade level expectations in reading and writing. His spring reading map score was blank, and he continues to be a part of the RTI process in reading. So here, this student was part of it in the beginning of the school year. It's the end of the school year. He still has not progressed. So I am making sure the parents are aware of that. He should read at home every night and ask and answer questions about the text to improve his comprehension. In math, insert name is approaching grade level expectations. His spring reading map score was blank. He should continue to work on math facts, addition and subtraction within 20, doubles, near doubles, and partners for 10 for fluency. Insert name often misses turning in homework and class assignments and can be very distracted during lessons. Next semester, he will work towards improving his reading skills by reading daily at home for 20 minutes, answering comprehension questions, and practicing the assigned sight word flashcards and word study lists. Okay, I hope you found that very helpful, and make sure you check out the show notes, and you can see a link to the blog post where this is written out in case you're driving and you didn't have the ability to take some notes and you want to kind of see it in print. I know I'm very visual. So I have those typed up for you. And like I said, you can just get it for a good idea, or you can kind of tweak it and make it your own. Before I sign off, I want to make sure that you know about the free winter conference that I will be presenting at coming up in the end of December, but the tickets are on sale now. And by on sale, I mean free to get if you want to upgrade for a platinum pass that allows you longer access than the free pass. You are more than welcome to do that, but you can just sign up for free. You're going to go to bit.ly/E R winter. That's bit.ly/E R winter to sign up and grab your ticket. Thanks so much for listening to the Share Teaching Podcast. Stick around for all new Writing Tip Wednesday next Wednesday, and I hope you had a wonderful holiday with your family. Bye for now. If you've loved this show, then join me in sharing the teaching,
hitting that subscribe button,
and leaving us a review on
iTunes,
so we can be found by more teachers like you who are ready to start sharing the workload. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Find new episodes each week on sharedteaching.com. Thanks for listening to the Share Teaching Podcast.